everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Tish the Traveler. So in today's video, we will be discussing what life is like as an ESL instructor, what it takes to apply to ESL jobs in Japan and all over the world, and most importantly, what my experience was like working for Kids Duo, what it took for me to apply, what the process was, and what life was like for me living in Japan day to day. So I want to take this time to say thank you for clicking on today's video. Like, share, and subscribe for your girl. It'll help me out here in these YouTube streets. But without further ado, let's get to it. So I would like to introduce myself and say that my name is Quantisha, but I go by Tish. I've been a teacher for over 20 years. I have been a solo traveler for over 10 years, and now I am in the world of ESL, and my experience for that runs about 5 years. So even though it is the newest to me, it is definitely one that is taking the most of my creative space at the moment. Just taking the time to gain more knowledge and experience in the world of ESL, because there's so much to learn and gain from when it comes to a vast variety of languages, and we all collectively come together to learn one, and that's English. So first off, I wanted to offer an apology for taking so long to even get to this video. I've been seeing the comments of people from my previous videos that were asking questions in regards to how do I apply to Kids Duo? Or hey, I made it through, but I don't really know what to expect. You know what? I didn't either, because there was nothing there for me. I mean, there was very limited resources or anything that really prepared me for what I was going to face once I hit Japan. It was really, really overwhelming. It was really stressful. So I could only imagine for others going in after me, like, wow, what's going on? So I'm here to drop a little bit of clues on what I did first to get ready for my life as an ESL teacher. First thing, I went to Indeed.com and I typed in teaching English as a second language overseas. Another keyword is just TESOL overseas. Anything with teaching overseas, put that in the search bar on your Indeed, on your any kind of job search engine that's going to take you and show you different varieties, but mine was Indeed first. So this part of the video is where it's going to show you how to apply for any ESL positions that you may be looking for. So this is where you would go. This is the website. So this is the area where you're going to browse and look into the areas like your keywords, category, and you're going to look down and see kind of where it is that you're looking for. So you're going to see different locations all over the world where there are different opportunities where you can teach English online or in person. And so here you can just scroll and choose which country of your choice. So in the situation, we are looking in Japan. So we put Japan in and then looking at the different job opportunities that are listed. So as you can see below, you see all the different jobs that are listed. And as you can see, Kids Duo is on that list. But whatever you decide, you just click in to the apply button to whatever job you feel is right. But in this situation, we're going to use Kids Duo as an example. So once you do that, you are going to continuously, like right now, I'm still kind of scrolling to kind of show you guys the different types of opportunities that Japan has to offer as far as going in person to teach English as a second language. But whatever it is that, again, you decided you want to do, whatever you want to choose, the opportunities are endless. But again, in this situation, in this example, we are going to use Kids Duo. So now we are here in the Kids Duo website, so where you will look to see the information that they are providing for you to see if you match the position that is available to teach English as a second language. And as you can see, there's a full-time position, what the contract looks like, the age group, the working hours. They give everything to you in pretty much great details, your duties and responsibilities, your benefits and compensation. about what it is that you're going to make sure that you convert what your yen is going to be to US dollars, so that way you know how much you're making, and that way you can kind of budget. It definitely gives great detail about the job requirements, making sure that you have everything that you need to know before you apply. And once you do, you will make sure you submit your application. You click the here button, and then you are now in the actual process of sending all your information in to the company, making sure that everything that you see here, everything must be correct in every way, or they will reject it, and making sure that everything comes back normal. This is pretty much after you've been accepted, but they will make sure that you have to make sure you put in everything here, so therefore everything matches. That way, when you get to Tokyo, or your kids' duo of choice, that way they know where you're going and you know where you're going, so everything matches. But yeah, this is just the part where you submit your resume, your cover letter, making sure everything is correct. And in this situation, I truly always believe that it's important to know what the company motto is, what it is that you're getting into, your importance in being an ESL teacher for this company, how important it is that you model all of it is that you're trying to teach when it comes to English for these children, because you are they will never forget you, and making sure that you give them a great experience. But this is by far probably one of the most incredible experiences to date. I really hope that this part of the video, you're able to kind of like gauge through, all the information that, Kids Duo provides, and again, the training and support, what their goals are. Just take the time on your own time, to really read everything thoroughly, to see if you feel like this would be a great fit for you, the times, the bonuses, the contracts, everything that you feel, hey, this might be a great fit for me. It may not be, the sick leave, the benefits. They do offer the visa sponsorship. We talked about a lot of trainings, the travel reimbursement. You're pretty much a Japanese citizen once you arrive here, and they take care of pretty much everything on your behalf. But please always ask questions. If there is anything that you need to know, the company will answer that for you. Your SD is there for you. There is always going to be someone there to support you in that regard, because there's a lot, that goes into it. But make sure you read everything thoroughly. Make sure, again, ask those questions. Make sure that, if there's anything that you may need that you're kind of struggling with, someone will help you with. But yeah, read everything thoroughly. There's so much to read over. I just want to wish everyone the best of luck in their decision. And once again, once your interviews go really well, you'll have them during Skype. They generally run about 45 minutes to an hour. They definitely want to ask you about what your experience is like, why do you want to come to Japan, and what is it that you could benefit to working for their company. Again, dress in a very professional attire. Have your blazer or your corporate wear in hand, because they definitely are paying attention to how you are speaking, your answers to the questions they are asking. They will have an interpreter there that will translate English into Japanese for them to understand. And also too, they also will have multiple people in the group. So it'll be the head and CEO of Kids Duo, and there'll also be the supervisor and other supervisors that are in the area who may need an ESL teacher. So they're kind of like wanting to see if you as a personality would be a great fit for their school, wherever they may need it. And once they decide, okay, you know what, this person is great, everything's good, then you'll be good to go. But again, there is a waiting process. I can't even tell you how that was for me. I want to say honestly, maybe about 3 weeks before I even heard anything back. But don't get discouraged. That is just there because they're in a different holiday system than what we are in the US. So they take their breaks a bit differently. They take their holidays breaks a little bit differently. So by the time I found out in early part of January, they were coming back into the office from their winter break and kind of getting everything established so they can finish the rest of, they can finish the rest of their school year in Japan. So those kind of things do take time, but I just encourage you to hold strong because you will hear an answer, regardless if they accept you or not. What happens when you get accepted? Well, that's the fun part, because once you do, you'll get your formal Kids Duo letter in the mail saying, hey, welcome aboard to the Kids Duo family, blah, blah, blah. Right over here is mine. Super excited because all my hard work had got me to this point and I was going to Japan. So that was very exciting. But once you do, you'll be assigned to someone that is going to help you, kind of guide you from your way from America to Japan. So the first things first, they want you to make sure that your passport has a proper Japanese visa, and in order to do that, you must go to your nearest Japanese embassy. For me, it was Chicago, since I reside here in Indianapolis. Once you do that, you take your passport photo that you will need to put into your Japanese visa, which will go into your passport. But you kind of have to, you have to relinquish your passport to them for about a week. That week will allow them time to kind of process while you're there. They do contact Kids Duo to let them know, like, hey, this work visa is to be approved, which they will, but it is your responsibility to come back the week after, because it takes a week to process, to pick your visa up. Then you put the visa slip inside of your passport, and then you're ready to go. Once I had shown my advocate that I had everything that I needed from the Japanese embassy, it was now time for me to book my flight one way and get my butt over there for training. So everything happens very, very quickly, and I will say within the span of a week. Once I got everything, the approval letter, once I got everything together, before I knew it, I was saying goodbye to my friends and family, and I was on my way. What your training looks like once you arrive is insane. I really don't know if they still kind of run it the same way that I did, but I know it took 3 weeks. 3 crazy weeks going to and fro to different parts of the different prefectures of Tokyo and different Kids Duos, learning, observing, asking questions, being very much involved with the children, watching and being watched on how that you interact with them, making sure that you are not being offensive, but you're also kind of like taking a step back in a sense to be like, you know what, this is definitely something that I like or I don't like, you know. So those trainings really kind of give you a sense of what you're going to get into, and if you decide this isn't for me, in that training period, you have every right to decide, nope, this is not it. And some people do. It's just really fast paced. It can be very overwhelming, and they're really long hours because you're getting up in the morning, getting ready for work. You want to make sure that you're going to the right location and the right train station. And with that, I'll put right over here on an example of what one looks like on a map, and trying to navigate which train is going to which area, so that way you know where your Kids Duo location is. And it can be quite jarring going into a situation to where you need to figure out your right move and be there on time. So that could be very challenging going to something like that. They do also give you I guess they do give you an option when you first get there, unless you're already established, you're already a resident of the Tokyo area. But they do offer you lodging, and I can't remember the name exactly of where I was staying for those 3 weeks of training before I was going to Hiroshima, but it was more of a communal, kind of gave me like dorm vibes. There was a kitchen, a refrigerator, a lounge area, a seating area, a TV area, a study area. It had lockers. It had a bunch of different stuff there for us to kind of, live while we're training, while we're working, while we're learning. We got a chance to meet, you know, different people from all over the world and kind of grasp their perceptions of what it was like living in Japan and just learning from each other. I actually enjoyed it, but over time, I do like my space. But they do give you a small little room. They do have a little shower area separate from your toilet area, separate from your sink area from where you brush your teeth, which is also separate from where you wash your clothes. So everything had its own area, everything had its own place where you could, you know, still live and still, you know, kind of get comfortable and adjust from wherever you're coming from to Japan, because it is very shocking once you step off that plane and it's like, let's go, let's do these trainings, let's get you acclimated to life as a Kids Duo employee. Yeah, get ready for them blue shirts because it's coming. Kids Duo does offer travel reimbursement, which would also include your cabs, your buses, any type of transportation, your trains, planes, automobiles. Keep your receipts for everything, because when you go back to your Kids Duo headquarters with your SD, you're going to give her those receipts and they're going to put all of that reimbursement back on your first month's pay, because you are paid monthly. And with that, I do have an example of what my paid check stub look like. A lot of that is from taxes, insurance, so you're not really getting the whole amount that they say that's on your contract, because there are other things that come into play. Your months and how many times in those 30 days that you were working count within that, because sometimes you're working on a Saturday, sometimes you're not. So it just kind of depends. But if you have any questions about what your check stub looks like or what you're bringing in, let your SD know, and they can definitely kind of help you navigate that situation. Your food is completely up on you. So I would definitely make sure that you find probably, I don't know, I won't say the cheapest, but I loved 7-Eleven. It was one of my favorite convenience stores to go get some quick ramen, some really good lunch, a snack, because they're open, I think they're open to like 3 a.m. So, but everything that you decide to buy, make sure you stock up pretty good throughout the week, because you're going to be gone all day. Sometimes, generally, people get something during lunch and then they get an hour, they give you an hour. So I generally like going outside to a park, taking my ramen, my lunch to a local park, getting some sun, coming back, and then getting ready for the kids to come in for, excuse me, the afternoon time. But yeah, making sure that you stock up on your groceries, making sure you're eating healthy, making sure that you're sleeping well, will all aid to a better transition for you as an ESL teacher. It's really hard, you know, to transition from what you were doing before to what you're doing now, and give yourself as much grace as you possibly can, because it can be tough, but you can do it. You can make it through it. You got this. So if I can do it, you can do it. But my school was, I ended up deciding to sign my 1-year contract at Hiroshima, one of the 3, because there's 3 locations in Hiroshima, and I got to do the one at the Askachi station, and I lived in my temporary apartment for about 3 weeks before I was able to even get my real apartment, because guess what? I needed an address. So once I was done, I couldn't use the address for the temporary apartment. I had to wait and get the process done so I can get my actual real apartment. And once I was able to do that, then I was able to get everything else, and even turning on the utilities and the gas and everything else that follows. That took time, but I really appreciated my SD, because she was there to navigate and to translate and to help me sign the different documents that I needed for the apartment, the utilities, and wherever else Japanese business that I needed. She was definitely there to help. So if you have somebody on hand, and if you have someone that can interpret for you, please let them, because it really is a help when you don't know the navigations of every day, turning on different, you don't know. So if there's anyone there to help, please let them help you. something I definitely want to advise you of when you are not only a Kids Duo employee, but really for any ESL job that you will be applying for, are trainings. You'll do a lot of trainings, definitely before you get in and definitely during your process as a Kids Duo member. So you will definitely be responsible for learning about the different, I would say, seasonal changes in the curriculum. So a lot of the time you will have a lot of your pilot days, or like maybe like an example of what a day in the life would be like coming to Kids Duo. So some of your days will be subjected to Saturday. Not all day, but most of the day. You still get your afternoon a little bit to kind of relax, but either you can get an extra work pay for that, or you can just take the day off. But I always make sure that you put that little extra on my check, because I like to spend. And plus groceries are expensive, but I really want you to know that those trainings are definitely there to kind of like keep you creative, to keep you kind of motivated in the area, because you are required to keep the children's attention and to keep them engaged in what it is that you're learning, and making English a fun thing to process, because it's a lot for them with learning things a certain way, and then they have to learn English. So making it fun always makes it more exciting for them. So that's why the trainings are always so formative, and they're very important. They also pay you. So it's something else I wanted to think of. Like, they do pay you for those trainings. Some of them are on Skype. Some of them are in person. Sometimes they even come to you, depending on your location. And once you do that, they're just kind of giving you the up-to-date information from what Tokyo is sharing with everybody about the different changes that are going to be happening, what the spring looks like, what the summer looks like, because summer school is very different from what it looks like throughout the rest of the school year. So getting you prepared for that, because that is a very busy season in the world of ESL, because everyone in different countries and different places, such as Japan, celebrate Christmas differently. They celebrate other things differently. So it's good that you know that, so that way you can kind of adapt your lessons to what it is that the Japanese culture still feels is more formative in learning English in this way. Sometimes that can be very frustrating, or either you just go with the flow and say, you know what, it is what it is. So either you're against it or you're for it. There's no in between. Your general contracts for your apartment or any type of utility assistance is generally 2 years. So when I signed mine, I had every intention on believing that I was going to be in Japan between really the entire 5 years that my visa was approved for, but that was not the case. So, but I ended up still signing that 2-year contract anyway. It was the same with my internet. When I got that turned on, it was 2 years. My electric and gas was also for 2 years. So just be very mindful before you go in. When you're looking for your apartment, please let them know if you're there long term or you're there short term, because they will kind of like adjust your contract due to how long you're going to be there. And it also fluctuates on the cost, because the shorter you are there, maybe a little more expensive depending on the area that you're in. Since I was in Hiroshima, it was definitely more cheaper than what it would have been if I was living in Tokyo. So please do your research. Not all the apartments are for 2 years, but the majority of them are. And be very mindful, a lot of the time they do not like renting to foreigners, because a lot of the time, sometimes you break your contracts. And I was definitely one of those ones. Even though my Kids Duo contract was for a year, and I definitely was approaching that year, I just felt it was time to go. So I ended up breaking that contract. It ended up being there for 9 months instead of the in total 3. But I had a legit reason, and not even realizing that COVID was just looming months away. But with that being said, you are able to break your contract if it's dire. You have to let them know like what the reason is, but you are able to. You are also able to break your contracts with your apartment and with your utilities. You just have to also let them know what your reason for that is, and that's why you are given a certain amount for your deposit for everything. Your apartment, your bills, you are often given a deposit for those contract breaks, because if you go in there and you, for whatever reason, you have to go home, that deposit doesn't hurt anyone. It doesn't hurt you or them, because you get your return back, excuse me, upon breaking your contract. A lot of the time when I would go in to pay my rent at the Bank of Hiroshima, they give you this little card, and I don't know if I can find it, but I'm gonna put it over here. This card was for you to pay your rent each month, and I would always I would always need someone to help me, please. So I would have it on my phone, and it would be like, hi, could you please help me with this and pay my rent? And they would be very nice and gracious to help me and make sure that I was able to pay my rent on time. But it was definitely an experience paying my rent from the ATM. What was life like for me outside of Kids Duo when I wasn't working? Well, that could look like a lot of different things, because I'm very, very adventurous. And I definitely like getting out there. So aside from going to my favorite place in the world, TESOL, I was definitely able to get some things for the apartment. Getting the apartment kind of situated, complicated, not being on the floor, to having a sofa, to having a bed, to having curtains, to getting the proper stove. It was just a lot that goes into it. But I'm looking down because I have my notes. Going to the grocery store, getting my toiletries. Oh, good gracious. Paying my bills. A lot of the time I paid my bills at 7-Eleven. So I just would always get the bills or utilities in the mail, and I would scan it, and they will scan it, they'll put it up, they'll ask me a question on the screen, and it'd be either yes or no. More than likely I press yes, and I was able to pay my bills like that. It probably took like less than 5 minutes. So I would get a snack, pay my electric bill, and be on my way. Pretty simple stuff. Something that was not told to me, which is something that I wish I knew, was that your Japanese ATMs have they have like a time limit on them, if you will. Not like the ones here in the United States where they are open 24 hours. That is not the case. Living in Japan, they are generally from 9 to 11. Anything before 9, you are not access to. Anything after 11, you are not access to. So that goes for all of them, even at your local bank ATMs and at your convenience store ATMs. You cannot access them before 9 or after 11. So get your money in between that time, pay your bills, get whatever you need in between that, because after that, yeah, don't be like me. Do not be like me and thinking I can go in early, get some money, go take a bus, do whatever I wanted to do, because I had to wait 2 hours to get my money out of the ATM so I can do my activity. So I wasted some time not knowing, but I could have been prepared, gone earlier, but you learn. I also want you to get you a PASMO. So your PASMO is your transportation card from your trains, your trolleys, and I do believe some of the ferries that take you from the different islands, from Hiroshima to Miyajima to Kure. So all of those you need a PASMO for. Some of them come in different types depending if it's your trolley or train. Some of them work for each other. Doesn't matter. You can also use those to get your sodas and your snacks from your vending machines, which is super cool. You can do a lot with those things, but instead of you just putting in their money and scanning the ticket, just go ahead and I would have my little badge here, scan it, and I was able to go in to and fro. A lot of them are not too expensive, but just be mindful, because coming and going and train hopping can be very expensive. It can definitely add up, and it can definitely be very costly, for sure. The work culture can be very stressful. I want to definitely let you know it is okay to make a mistake. If there is something in your performance review while you're in training and you're kind of feeling like, oh, I didn't do so well, it's totally okay. You know, sometimes when you're going into something different, you really don't know really what to expect. A lot of those classrooms that were in Tokyo and one of the bigger cities had bigger class sizes, had more children, and that's a lot to deal with, even from the kindy all the way up into the elementary school children going into places, and there could be up to 70, sometimes even up to 100 children that you would have to like engage and keep them, you know, their attention on you, and making English fun can be a very stressful tactic. So it is okay if you're going up there and you feel like you failed, or you feel like you didn't do as well as you would have thought. It's okay. They're going to give you another chance to redeem yourself and to give yourself as much practice feeling comfortable being up front in front of those children and being well received and feeling like you're really getting them and getting their attention, because it is very hard. I do believe going up there on like my last school in Tokyo and losing my voice, completely being sick, because I gave it my all on that performance review, letting them know that they hired the right person, and I really wanted to go into the Hiroshima school with that same energy. But what made it so amazing was that there was nowhere near the amount of children that the other schools had, that my school had, because it went from 60 to 70 children to maybe like 20 or 30, and that to me was a little more, I could handle that better. But even with that, they were still trying to grow and get to those higher numbers. So yeah, I wish them the best with that, because I know that sometimes in the ESL market, parents will enroll their children for different reasons, such as they might be commuting back to the United States, they are leaving and going to a master plan, or whatever the case they may be, and they need their kids to learn English. So this is very important for you to know what your role is as an ESL teacher, because you're really changing the life and the world of someone who's really going to go to a whole nother world and need what you're teaching them. So it's okay to make mistakes during training. It's okay to not really get all of the kids' names right, because I definitely didn't. And that was something I felt really bad about, because you're not going to get it right. And it's nothing personal, but doing your very best to understand some of those Japanese syllables and trying to sound them out, because they are very, very sensitive to their name and if it's being misspelled wrong or if it's being said wrong. So just give yourself some practice, give yourself some grace. You got this. If I can do it again, so can you. And it was hard. A question that was asked was, do you need a ESL certification to work for Kids Duo? And the answer is no. They just want you to have experience working with children, an associate's degree or higher, and your videos and resume that you send in, and they decide whether or not you are Kid Duo worthy, I suppose. But no, you don't need an ESL. I didn't, but it definitely gave me a great experience into wanting to gain more further knowledge in other aspects outside of Kids Duo. But no, you don't. I say go for it. When you go grocery shopping, please make sure you bring your own bag or some type of carrying device. Don't be like me and go out there empty-handed thinking it's going to be like the United States and they're going to have all these plastic bags for you to put your groceries in, because that is not the case at all. You definitely need to bring your own bag, because they are definitely not one to it's not a culture to do that. So once I got used to it, I would bring like a little satchel, maybe 2 or 3, and it'll be enough for me to carry the little items that I had from the grocery store to my apartment, which wasn't far, but it was just enough. That way, if I ever needed to kind of make 2 trips, I could still make 2 trips. No one would bother my stuff. I will put it down, put it somewhere, go back, go get it and take it home. But yes, bring your own bags when you go grocery shopping. You're gonna need it. The cost of living in Japan is so expensive. Like, it is crazy the amount of imported goods that come into Japan. But even the things that they have that are within Japan are so, everything is just expensive. I think I have a clip of what it looked like back in 2019. I can only imagine what that is like right now. It was just very expensive. I mean, for like a little bundle of kale was 99, but I can get a bigger bushel from here to in the States. Like it was just insane. But be prepared to spend a little more on your groceries and toiletries than what you would if you were normally back in the States. Yeah, as far as if you are a woman of color, yeah, you you are gonna have a hard time finding products that are for you. Some of the things that I did for myself when I was there was I used a lot of the rice water method, which was just taking just some old water that I had boiled from some rice with a little bit of oil and conditioner, and I would shake it up in a spray bottle, spread it on my hair, curl it or twist it, to preserve it while I was there. And that kind of helped out, but generally you're gonna have to make do with what they have, and a lot of the time it was conditioner conditioner or oil. So if you're a woman of curls or woman of color with curly hair, make do. Just do some research as I did, and that's how I found that rice method. But it actually did help strengthen the strands, because due to the high stress levels of the transitions and getting, you know, adjusted to everyday life in Japan, you're going to lose a lot of hair. You're going to lose a lot of stuff. But generally making sure that you're eating less, sleeping properly, bringing your stress levels down as much as you can, which I know that is easier said than done. Do you need to learn Japanese before you get there? No. I mean, it would help if you would definitely kind of learn a couple phrases, you know, arigato, arigato arimashita, thank you very much. That really helped me out tremendously. Learning a few of the, you know, oh my gosh, hi for yes, you know, knowing what that means in that regard, because hey, you know, you gotta learn something. But I always ask the kids to kind of help me out with whatever keyword or phrase that I needed. It was a trade-off. I teach you English, you teach me Japanese. They loved it, I loved it, and I ended up walking away with learning something that was going to help me help someone else. So it worked out great. I'm trying to see on my notes. Be open to all possibilities. I really believe just keeping an open mind about what you're there for, and allow the experience to really shape and mold you, and in ways that you never thought that you could ever imagine. I really was taken aback. I never thought it was gonna snatch me up the way it did, but it did. And with everything that I had to go through, or even explain it in these videos, really helped me. It helped me out a lot. It gives you some muscle for sure, because you are doing a lot of walking. You're just doing a lot. So that's why I was always saying give yourself grace, because you're gonna need it. And lastly, if there was any way that you wanted to convert money, there are definitely many ways that you could do that. Even back then, I know Cash App, Zelle, they were definitely new, but Western Union was my only way of doing that. And that's one way you could transfer your money from your yen to your dollar, from the yen to the US dollar, excuse me. And even with that, making sure that you're very careful on each day that you are transferring money, because you either be gaining more or losing it. Just depends, because the dollar fluctuates and it's not really doing so good. So I can only imagine how it's doing now, converting money, because that was something I didn't know. So definitely you can easily track it by downloading a converter app. Doesn't matter which one, but they will definitely show you each day if it's the right day for you to convert your money, so you can get more, more for your, more for the percentage of that is given on that day. And then lastly, if there were any tools that I would use currently for my ESL journey, I know that they have the translation pods that kind of can help you formulate, language from English to whatever. That would have been so helpful for me if I was there. They have like your translation pens. I have a couple translation apps on my iPad. A lot of my activities come from my iPad. That would have been so useful for me back then, using projectors, different types of music, incorporating them in the kids' duo curriculum just to make them a little more, not saying that the curriculum is boring, but making it your own, making it, you know, something that will still entice the children, but also still sticking to what kids' duo expects from you when it comes to following the curriculum. But for what it's worth, I truly want to thank you for listening to me ramble. I have been trying to get this video out for so long and give you guys any type of helpful, useful information that you will need upon your Kids Duo journey or just any type of ESL job out there. I'm currently still on my own ESL journey and trying to figure out which school is the right school for me, regardless if it's online or in person. Whatever you decide, don't give up. It can happen for you. You just got to keep doing the research and putting in the work and knowing that whatever it is that you want for yourself as the ESL instructor, you can obtain. So thank you again for watching this video. If there is anything that you feel I missed in this video, please put it in the comments below. I do respond. I will get back with you. I will follow up to a video if there is anything in the comments that you feel I missed. But again, like, share, and subscribe, y'all. Like, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to what I have to say, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.